Welcome back to Power Lunch. The so-called stablecoin summer taking a breather today. You can see shares of USDC, co-founders Coinbase and Circle are both lower. They've been up huge this week, though. And Circle is up sixfold from its IPO earlier this month. Coinbase hit a record high just yesterday and is the best performing stock from the April lows. Elsewhere in the crypto space, Bitcoin has been struggling a bit, though the S&P and Nasdaq have marched to new highs. What's that about? Joining us now is Neoclassic Capital managing partner Michael Bucella. Coachella, you know, you are like Bucella is the new Coachella. Anyway, Michael, is the bloom off the rose with crypto to some extent? How could conditions get any more bullish than they have been the past couple of months with the new administration and everything else?
Okay. So on the demand side, you have billions of dollars being raised through Bitcoin treasury products. Those have been announced more recently. So Anthony Pompliano's at ProCap, David Bailey and Nakamoto, Cantor Fitzgerald Tether, and SoftBank with 21 Capital. That's creating huge demand. The ETF inflows have been enormous. I think 4 billion in June alone. So where is it all going? Why is Bitcoin not mooning? So the supply side are a few different things. I think one, there's been a bit of risk replacement. So you have some of these major public companies becoming proxies for where crypto can go. And so there's people replacing Bitcoin spot risk with Circle or Coinbase or treasury companies. The other part that's a bit more technical and I think maybe less discussed is a lot of the Bitcoin miners who have been holding Bitcoin are operating in very narrow margin profiles now. And so if you don't have highly credible, high top assets with great operating teams to pivot to at least attempt to get an AI contract or a hyperscaler contract, you have to sort of run these sometimes loss operating models. And those are seeming to be financed by some Bitcoin sales or other capital markets activities. But it is a bit, like you said, I think it's a bit surprising to have seen the price of Bitcoin stay stuck in this sort of range. It's performed well year to date. It's up 15%. It's performed well since the April lows. But yeah, the two things aren't pairing off as well as you think.
I took notice, I think a lot of people did, back when the Israel-Iran conflict was escalating, Bitcoin sold off. So that's fine. It doesn't have to go up in all situations. But if it's not going to me, its most valuable kind of selling point is when it acts like digital gold. And when it acts like a risk asset, I'm like, well, I can just own the S&P 500 for a risk asset, and it can at least be something with a track record and cash flows.
Yeah, I suppose you can look at, gold is up and around near all-time highs, and with the S&P at all-time highs, it depends on what time frame you look at, but everything can look like a risk asset. I think it depends on what you're correlating it to, and if you're diving down into sort of quantifying, the VIX versus the asset or the S&P price versus the asset and your time frame on that. Bitcoin continues to be a great beneficiary of global sort of reserve currencies or global currencies cratering against most other assets. And so Bitcoin, I think, has been the best of those. It's the hardest asset. And the demand on these Bitcoin treasury companies is indicative of that. So you have both, preferred equity pipes and convertibles. The convertible market is wide open from very institutional players. They have seemingly unlimited demand for these Bitcoin treasury companies. The preferred equity pipes, they're getting a bit more commoditized, some of these Bitcoin companies. So they need to have some new model, whether it's we're going to operate as a Bitcoin asset management firm, or we're going to do something different than just hold it.
Well, okay, Michael, can we go into that just quickly? Because I'm not picking on any company in particular, but Circle's a recent IPO that is soared, okay? As far as I can tell, the company effectively buys treasury bonds and then issues stable coins in a very rough way, right? Yeah. That's not NVIDIA. That's not some great new business model. Why is the market treating it like it? What am I missing with the story?
So to be clear, I think a lot of people missed this. I think right before it went public, there was talks of transactions in the few billion-dollar category, and people said it's not worth a few $1 billion. And now it's worth $50 billion or $40 billion, $45 billion as of today. What Circle represents is not. It should not pair off with the amount of USDC that exists in the market. What it represents is potentially destabilizing the traditional payments and traditional capital markets rails. So if you say the entire foundation of transfer of value, of dollars, is going to shift into something, you probably want to own that something. Now, that is a very, very kind of far outreaching perspective that is very hard to quantify, but it does go to show you how insatiable the market is to have exposure to this asset class and to have exposure in a way that, you can sort of talk to your friends about and say, this represents the new form of US dollar. I can get behind that. even people that can't get behind some of the other trailing assets like Ethereum and Solana and others, they can get behind this idea of a new form of dollar and better settlements, better payments, better money.
You satisfied? Is that the new NVIDIA?
Maybe it's the new Visa. Is it the new Charles Schwab? Is it the new Visa? I don't know. I think Michael did a great job explaining it because
I think it's like a money market mutual fund from 2007 is what I think. And it's fine.
It's a boring business.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's very exciting in terms of what it can be.
It's not trading. Today it's down 15%, but it's not trading like a boring business. That's the point, Michael.
Yeah, correct. I mean, again, this goes to the delta between fundamental value that you can model out today and the market capitalization of a company is the expectation of what it can do, right? That is people's fervor for innovation in crypto and digital assets. People want to own this space. There's only so many assets you can actually own that give you the exposure.
All right, Michael, thank you. We appreciate it today, answering many, many of our questions.